Fred here, welcome back to the Gear Obsession channel. Yeah, I know, I haven't done a tech-related video for quite a while. So, I'm finally getting one out of the can. So in this episode we're going to talk about cable modems. Now this particular cable modem is an Aries. Most of you probably have a Motorola, like a Motorola Surfboard or something like that. So, I'd say about a year ago, I had a lot of problems with my cable modem dropping out. Every time I was trying to upload a video, I would get knocked offline. The cable modem lights would start blinking saying they got disconnected, and they may or may not get connected again. So in the process of dealing with that issue and dealing with the cable company, I learned a couple of things, and I'd like to share some of those with you in the hopes that maybe it can solve any problem that you might be having with drop connections now or in the future. So here's my cable modem. It's kind of funny that they call these cable modems because it's not really a modem. Modem stands for modulation, demodulation, and that was something that got carried over from the old days when modems were attached to phone lines and made that weird noise. And that noise was when it was modulating, demodulating. But they sort of carried over the name, I guess, to keep life simple for folks. So these are referred to as cable modems. Now, it really doesn't do us any good to go over these specific lights because different brands of cable modems will have lights for different things. You know, but I mean, you'll usually have a power light. This has a downstream and upstream light, but it could be like transmit and receive on yours. I don't know. You know, I have an online button or light, and this is a link light, so it's letting me know that it's on my internal network on my RJ45 going to my router is good to go. This cable modem also does phones, so you know I have phone lines, phone service provided by the cable company, and batteries for those. Backup batteries for those phone lines, so this thing works when we have lost power. This is Aries. It's made by Touchstone. It's an older DOCSIS 2 cable modem. So what we need to do is try to find out what type of levels the cable company is providing me. You know, what type of upstream and downstream levels as far as decibels and power. And the only way to do that is to know the secret IP. And guess what? I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay, now this is a secret, so don't tell anybody. .168.100.1. For 95% of the folks out there, at the time of this videotaping, this is the IP to get inside your cable modem. And you can take a look at what I have here. Now, if you have like a Motorola Surfboard or some other cable modem, you know, of course it's going to look different. Now, this is the Aries status page, which is what we're concerned about with today in this video. And what we're really concerned about are the RF parameters or levels that is being provided to us by our cable provider. In my case, it's Comcast. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to what I want to discuss. First, let's talk about the downstream number. Now, as you can see here, it says frequency power, and we're not really too concerned about the frequency that they're feeding our cable modem with. What we're really concerned about is the power, and this says it's a -3 decibel millivolt. Really, decibel millivolt, you don't need to be too concerned about that. Just the number itself, it's a -3. Normal operating range for this number for your downlink power should be anywhere between -15 and 15. -15 to 15. Now the sweet spot where your cable modem is working really good, you know, up to so you get the maximum download kind of speed, optimally operating. You want this to be between -5 and 5. And life will be good. Now, the next thing is the signal to noise ratio. And you see here it says 36 dB. The number we want this to be is 30 dB above. So we want this number, the signal noise to ratio, to be 30 or above. I'm 36, so life is good. Now, if this drops below 30, especially if it gets down to like 25, you'll start experiencing some drop-offs, loss of connection to your internet. So those are the two numbers you're concerned about for your downstream. Next is upstream. Really, there's only one number you need to be concerned about, and that is your power here, 47 dB millivolt, decimal millivolt, and that number should always be between 37 and 55. Now, if you're talking about optimization, you know, best speeds possible, you want that number to fall in the sweet spot, which is between 48 and 52. I'm just barely out of that range at 47. Now, there are several reasons why your levels could be way out of whack, and it might not necessarily be the cable company's fault. So before you call them, I'd like to ask yourself a question. Do you have a lot of these between where the cable comes in your house and where your cable modem is? Because these can cause some serious issues, especially the cheap ones. This is a cable splitter, and I know a lot of you want to add TVs into your house, and you might have installed one or two of these, so go ahead and split it off. The good side is you get to add more TVs to your cable. The downside is every time you split your cable, you're going to lose some dB, start losing a little bit of your signal every time you split it. As a general rule, I'm not saying not all of these are created equally, but as a general rule, a two-way splitter like this, you're going to lose 3.5 dB. So if you have a lot of these and you're out of spec within a couple of dB and you're experiencing some drop-offs, or all of a sudden you lose a connection, take one of these out and see if it improves things. So this is just food for thought, you know, to help you maybe resolve some of your cable modem issues. This is some lessons learned that I'd like to pass on. Now, my cable company could not get my cable modem within spec, not even close to the acceptable ranges. So what they ended up having to do is run a second cable line to my house, and that goes straight to my cable modem with no splitters whatsoever. And then I have another one coming into my house that goes to my TVs, and that was the only way that they could get it in range, unfortunately. So, you know, they did what they could do to make it right, which they finally did. It took about 3 months of people coming out here trying to fix the issues, and they did finally get it. And, you know, I'm a Comcast customer, and once they got that issue solved, I've been a pretty happy Comcast customer because I have some crazy fast speeds. As a matter of fact, if you want to do a speed test, I could show you a neat site that you could test your speed. Now, when you do the speed test, don't be like downloading Netflix or some big file while you're running the test, because that's going to nullify the test. So let's go to a website, and I'll bring it back in. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the start button. Okay, there we go. Now, those of you who know what these numbers mean are probably crapping in their pants right now, because that's crazy fast. That is crazy fast. Look at that, 25.28. That's just crazy. At least here in the United States, that's a number where I'm probably faster than 90% of the rest of the country. Now, there are other countries that can top this easily. But here in the US, that's a really good number. And my upload speed, 4.32, is another outstanding number. So you can go to speedtest.net. I'm sure you know what your cable company promised you, and if you're not getting anything close to that on a consistent basis, you might need to be giving them a call. Okay, I'm going to head off one more comment because I know I'm going to get this. I'm going to get someone that says, this is what DOCSIS means. So I went ahead and just Googled it because I can't remember all this stuff. DOCSIS, which is what different cable modems are. DOCSIS is an acronym that means Data Over Cable Service Interface Specification. And right now, as of taping this video, it's up to DOCSIS 3. So that's the fastest we have, that specific specification. Some of you still might have DOCSIS 2s. If you do, and your cable modem provider or your cable provider actually has quicker speeds and you're not getting it, it could be that maybe you have an old DOCSIS 2 cable modem and you need to upgrade it, and the cable modem company or the cable company didn't bother to ask you if you wanted one. Maybe the reason why you're having slow speeds is because you have an old cable modem, especially if you bought one and you never changed it out when they moved on to the DOCSIS 3 specification. So hopefully this can help you if you're experiencing slow speeds on your cable modem or random drops or anything like that. Now one other quick thing, I keep on adding things and I'm making this longer. If you're slightly out of spec and it's good most of the day, and then all of a sudden when it gets really, really hot, then you start experiencing dropouts, which was my case. Again, that's because you're right on the line as far as in acceptable range on one of these levels, and when it gets hot, really hot, it can knock it out of that range altogether. Especially if you have like a splitter in an attic that gets really, really hot and it's of poor quality, or maybe the cable is loose on it, and when it gets hot, it just makes it even worse, and it'll knock it out of spec, and then you'll experience dropouts. So hopefully all this stuff can help you out. So thank you very much for stopping by the Gear Obsession channel to get your gear, gun, and tech fix. I really appreciate it. I hope you keep on coming back. Have a great evening. So let's talk specifically about the downstream numbers here. Now, I'd like to talk about the